Hello, I am Gary Maloney from Sactown Slam, and I'm here with my former partner,
Well, let's say part-time partner.
And your name is?
John Maloney, this guy's brother, for life.
Yes, it's Brother Nero. Nah.
Yeah,
And-
and you'd be Brother Giro?
Yes. But in all seriousness, we are here for our yearly anniversary I wrote this shit edition. So,
I mean, how can it not be in a video with a term that I coined?
you coined.
Yeah, I coined that shit.
You coined.
I'm always saying, I wrote this shit.
Yeah, you coined that about as much as Mario coined it. But anyway. Okay. So there are a few predictions, and we will go down our top 10 that we have for this upcoming year for 2018, and we will go down them one by one, each of us with 5, and we will alternate with our predictions as we did in its inaugural year.
Yep.
So, would you like to go first, or would you like me to go first?
I'll go first.
You got it.
So, my first prediction is that, we will be seeing Sanity very soon in the main roster. And it's gonna start off, I have a feeling, with, the Royal Rumble. We'll be seeing, I'm absolutely certain we'll see Nikki Cross in the Women's Rumble, because, let's face it, there aren't 30 women between both brands to have a 30-woman Royal Rumble. You have to have at least a few NXT people in there. Ronda Rousey and all the fighter chicks are gonna be in there too. But, so my overall prediction of that is that Sanity will be entering into the main roster this year.
Well, thank you for stealing one of mine that I was going to say anyway. But, as we
Well,
did...
you can capitalize on it.
Well, seeing as we didn't coordinate before we did this, I will say that I agree with you on that one. Now, for mine, I have been saying this for weeks, and I will say it once again. AOP, as they did not win the tag titles, and, they are number one contenders at Brooklyn. But here's the thing, AOP has been on that roster almost 2 years. There's really nothing left for AOP to do, and they've cut their first 2 English promos.
As limited English as they use.
They speak Armenian, I guess, is the language that they speak. So, I always thought it was Portuguese for some odd reason. But, it is looking like they're headed to the main roster, because usually when people like this begin to speak English, it's usually a plus for Vince McMahon. Which are they going to go to between Raw and SmackDown? As much as people think that they're headed for SmackDown, I'm saying Raw. Why am I saying Raw? Because Raw has a complete lack of tag teams, period.
Not to mention, to add on to that, Raw tends to take in the bigger guys, like the physically bigger guys, whereas SmackDown tends to take more of the athletic approach. At least that's what I've seen.
With the exception, of course, the Bludgeon Brothers.
Well, yeah. Fair enough. Well, of course, then again, even then, oh my god.
Wyatt.
Not Luke Gallows. But,
You're
was it Luke Gallows?
No.
No, who's the guy with the big bushy beard?
That is...
Like with the brown Big Bishop 8.
Okay. First of all, that's Luke Harper and Eric Rowan.
My bad. So, yeah, Luke Harper can do some pretty athletic shit. You know, when he was in singles competition, he was dropping, he was doing drop kicks, he was going off the top rope. I mean, I gotta say, for a big guy, he's really pretty athletic.
Yeah, and he did get a shot at the WWE title, but nonetheless, I think that Sanity. Woo! I think that the Authors of Pain are headed for Raw.
Yeah.
So, to our next prediction.
Okay, so this is more about sort of a guy that's already in the main roster, Ty Dillinger. They aren't really utilizing him at all to his full potential. And honestly, if they don't start using him, and at least giving him more chances at a mid-card title, I can either see him walking away or being let go. Because it's just like, what are they even doing with him? I mean, he's such a great talent, and they're just, it's just like, let him go to Ring of Honor or something if you're not gonna use him.
Well, in your defense, I agree, but in his defense, they did put him in the Rumble, so, you know.
Yeah, but they put 30 guys in the Rumble.
30. But no offense. I mean, I don't agree. I agree with you that 2017 wasn't exactly Dillinger's greatest year, but the mid card on SmackDown is so overwhelming. I think that guys like Baron Corbin really kind of buried themselves this last year. And for, you know, big mouth, not open brain. And then you have guys like Ziggler, who no one knows if he's gonna walk away or stay at this point, officially. And there's a lot of talk about other people, but Dillinger, as hard as it is for me to say, the token chant for this last year has been 10. And then Vince McMahon literally drowned out the 10 chance. He drowned out the one fall chance. And he drowned out just about every chant he didn't like. So a guy who literally became over because of a fucking number, you know.
They're burying him.
They are, and I don't like it. But I think there's a chance that 2018 could be his year, just because the rest of the mid-card on SmackDown is either leaving or has an attitude problem. So, next prediction. Prediction number 3 on this top 10 list. I am declaring that the king will return for his crown. Neville has been somewhat, you know, obviously not there, because he had issues with Enzo. He had issues with, you know, rolling over for Enzo in that match where he lost his title after a 9-month title reign as the Cruiserweight champion, and doing some of his best work in that entire division, and making people better in that division and bringing eyes onto the Cruiserweight division. And then came Enzo. Now, you know, as far as everything that Enzo is being accused of, I'm not saying guilty or innocent until we know, until he's flat out convicted, or, you know, is said, or the charges are dropped, because I'm not gonna say either way, personally. But we do know this, you know, our favorite champion, Mr. Vacant, is now the champion right now for the Cruiserweight Championship. So, and now would be the perfect time to bring Neville back. And seeing as he's still technically under contract in the WWE, I can just imagine the backstage talk Triple H would have with him. Well, if you have a problem with Enzo, he doesn't work with us anymore. Boom. Contract. And then Neville says, well, I want my title back. Boom. Done. 205 Live is the wastelands right now. And yes, I am coining a saying from the Ascension, but it is literally the wastelands right now on WWE Network. There are pay-per-views from 10 to 20 years ago that top that. And unfortunately, you want to get this going. I will tell you this. I've heard you've signed EC3. I've heard you've signed Ricochet. Incredible additions. You get Neville back, you have yourselves a division. Especially with guys like Cedric Alexander and Akira Tozawa. I mean, come on.
I do want to get my 2 cents in. I know you like to talk. But honestly, when it comes to the whole Neville thing, it's really going to be based on how salty he is towards the WWE. He might be willing to go back, but honestly, I wouldn't hold it against him if he felt betrayed by WWE, because the whole 205 Live thing was supposed to be a punishment for Enzo, not an opportunity, because no one else wanted to deal with him. So, to have Neville, if they have, I do agree with you. If they have Neville come back, he deserves a title shot. If not, just, to get that chance to own the title again as quick as possible. Unlike our third cohort who believes that he should start at the bottom, which I don't agree. Neville had every right to leave because he was being shit on. And he was being shit on by Enzo Amore, of all people. A guy who, let's face it, has he has less than 5 moves of doom. He can talk all day long, but he is no fucking John Cena. Let's put it that way.
He's a one-trick pony is what he is. And I don't care how good you are on the mic. If you can't wrestle, then get the fuck out of my ring.
Exactly. So, I want to go on to my next prediction. Which, would this be the third one?
Yes, it would.
Okay. So my third prediction is that, and I'm probably...
see the fourth.
Fourth. Thank you. But still. So, I'm probably stealing another one from you. But Asuka's undefeated streak is ending this year. And, because honestly, you can only go undefeated so long before it starts becoming sort of a drain. It's like, oh, you're putting someone against Asuka, Asuka's winning. You're putting someone against Asuka, Asuka's winning. If not at the Royal Rumble, then I think it's possible that maybe at WrestleMania she'll lose.
That's interesting. I agree on the fact that this year she will be defeated at some points. I do not agree at said points of loss. I think they'll probably wait until Money in the Bank, as this year that is a dual brand pay-per-view, that will have more impact. So, yeah, and that Money in the Bank is in June, I believe, this year. So, it's very likely she will lose for the first time this year, especially now that she's on the main roster. I don't think she's gonna lose until after WrestleMania, though. So that's my 2 cents on that. Speaking of which, as you just brought up, I am calling this right now, and hopefully this gets up before Sunday, which I'm sure it will. This is my next one. At number 5, Asuka is winning that Women's Royal Rumble. I do not care if Ronda Rousey is in it. Ronda Rousey is most likely in it because she will most likely go in. She will run through, her and Asuka will run through everyone. They will either get very early entrance or very late entrance. And, Asuka will put an arm bar on Rousey, which will make her very salty. And then Rousey will find a way and take that title from Alexa Bliss like a hungry man takes $10 from somebody's wallet and goes to Taco Bell. But the fact of the matter is that, and this is even a mini prediction, I don't see Alexa Bliss having a title going into WrestleMania. Not happening. So, it is not happening. And Asuka will face whoever the women's champion is at WrestleMania, which, if they do get Rousey, then Rousey will most likely be the champ going into WrestleMania, with Asuka being the winner of the Royal Rumble facing her at WrestleMania. So, how are you going to not have it any other way if you end up signing Rousey? And it's been stated that Triple H was not at the Smackdown taping before the Royal Rumble because he was at a restaurant talking to Ronda Rousey. So, why are you talking to Ronda Rousey at a restaurant outside of a WWE venue? That leaves one to wonder. And by the way, that story, it's all over the internet, folks. And there are pictures, and there's plenty of proof from Ryan Satin that shit happened. So, yeah. I have a feeling this is gonna go down with Ronda Rousey at the Rumble. I don't think it would make sense for a match at such a B-level pay-per-view now, like Elimination Chamber. That would just not work. And if you want to make Asuka relevant, her and Rousey at WrestleMania is about as relevant of a match as you can get. At number 6.
Okay, so I'm going to go off the rails with this one. I'm going to say that I think there is a distinct possibility that by the end of this whole first Great War story arc, that Bray Wyatt will be joining forces with Matt Hardy.
Really?
Yes. See, the thing is because, I keep track of stuff going on Twitter, and he's been saying that, if I can get Sister Abigail out of Bray Wyatt, I think he could be a force for good in the great war to come. And so I think that Bray Wyatt will turn face and end up helping Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy, or Brother Nero, however he comes back as like some sort of, hero character, so to speak. That's what I think.
That's a hell of a prediction, as I've seen zero proof of this at the moment. But, I guess if you want to look at the long game, Bray Wyatt has had basically no success as a heel. The biggest chunk of success he had as a heel was around last year's WrestleMania when Randy Orton burnt down his compound. So I feel like you might be onto something there, but it's very, very, it's sketchy. So, I'll give you credit for it if it happens, though. I mean, you did pull Baron Corbin winning a title out of your ass last year.
Yeah.
And he won Money in the Bank. And I guarantee if he hadn't been talking shit to Dave Meltzer, he probably would have cashed that in and won. Now, number 7. I'm calling this right now because I've been calling it all year because I've been waiting for her to cash it in, and she has not cashed it in. And we are now in WrestleMania season. So I am going to call this right now. Whom I am talking about is Carmella. Carmella has had multiple chances to cash in her Money in the Bank contract briefcase, and, you know, she has not done it. I think she is going to pull a Seth Rollins and wait till WrestleMania, and seeing as they're like, oh, the women should do everything the men should do, she will pull the women's heist of the century. And if said people, Ronda Rousey and freaking Asuka, are fighting each other, there could be a chance that if they beat the shit out of each other enough, Carmella comes in, pins one of them, most likely Asuka, and salty on top of more salty makes super salty. So, you know, if you wanted to make a super heel female character, imagine how people are going to feel when she cashes in her Money in the Bank contract on an undefeated female wrestler and takes away her opportunity at the title.
Which would still go towards my prediction of her losing her undefeated streak at WrestleMania.
I mean, that could be if they play it that way.
If they play it smart.
Yeah, if they play it smart, I see that happening. Now, whether or not Asuka's in the title picture is dependent on two things. A, if she wins that Royal Rumble, or B, if she has the title before WrestleMania. Now, if she loses at the Rumble, she's technically lost her first match. So then that undefeated streak would be lost at the Rumble. But if they play this right, oh my gosh, this is heist of the century level shit. So, I mean, it is a prediction. So I cannot say whether or not I have zero proof this is going to happen. But the fact is that they're waiting for an appropriate moment where they will get a big pop out of her cashing it in. And I think what better moment than WrestleMania?
Okay, so this is what, prediction number 8? Out of 10? Okay, but honestly, when it comes to I know we're doing a lot of Royal Rumble predictions and stuff, but personally, I think we might see someone unexpected win the Rumble this time. I know there's been a lot of floating around that maybe Roman Reigns is gonna win because he just lost the IC title, right?
Correct.
I hope that doesn't happen. I'm actually sort of going against the grain here, and I do hope someone like Shinsuke Nakamura wins it, because honestly, he's another guy that, like, they're putting him out there weekly, which is good. You know, they're getting him plenty of exposure and mic time as well.
And he was in the Mixed Match Challenge.
Yeah, so they've been floating him around everywhere. So I think it's very possible that he could be getting a massive push pretty soon here.
Well, in all honesty, you know what I would think about that kind of a massive push?
Yeah. Too sweet.
Speaking of massive pushes, there's a poor guy who has been shit all over in 2017. The poor soul's name is Finn Balor. Finn Balor, really wasn't doing anything. And now, granted, this is about 2 years late in the building of it, but now Balor is with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Now, being, people want to call Balor this white midget because he's small and he doesn't weigh much, yada, yada, yada. But if you have muscle behind you, like Gallows and Anderson, a trio like that could get very far. I don't know when or how long these guys will be around, but if they stay around long enough, I think that, Balor will become champion of whatever brand he is on. Because if you move Balor, even after WrestleMania, my hope is they move Gallows and Anderson with him. So, and if they do that, there's a good chance that they are, a champion. Now, this is where my actual prediction comes in. Here's the thing. He himself just said Sanity, or predicted Sanity would move up. I agree. But this is where my prediction comes in. I am going to say, during whatever shuffle or whatever they want to do after WrestleMania happens, that the Balor Club will go to SmackDown without any movement of AJ Styles or Nakamura. They will have the Balor Club, Styles and Nakamura, in a singular clique. Then, oh my gosh, Sanity shows up on SmackDown. Boom, boom, you have Supergroup versus Supergroup going into the spring. I am predicting this because breaking up Sanity would be a huge mistake, especially in their first, heading into the main roster. And why I think they're headed for SmackDown is that other than Killian Dane, they're all a bunch of small fuckers. And Raw's not very big on smaller wrestlers. I mean, even Eric Young's only 5'11", believe it or not. I mean, he might be 6'1" in his boots. But, I know, I've read online he's only 5'11". Alexander Wolf is only 5'10". Killian Dane's the only one that's 6'1" and 280 pounds, because the guy probably drinks beer and eats fried chicken all day. But, I'll be honest with you, and it'd be nice also for Nikki Cross to go to the SmackDown brand, because they need women just as badly as anyone else right now. And Raw doesn't need women. They have great talent for women on Raw. They just don't know how to friggin' use them.
Yeah, and SmackDown kind of needs a beast right now in the women's division. I mean, besides... Wait, no. Is Nia Jackson SmackDown?
No, she's on Raw.
Yeah, so yeah, they need a beast of a woman on SmackDown then.
And Nikki Cross, I'll tell you, if their plan, especially if their plan is to, I'll save that one for later, but, I think that Raw... that SmackDown is going to have an interesting little invasion come spring. And, I guess this is me essentially booking what might happen in my head. But I'm calling it. right now. So I don't know why I think this might happen, but come on, it's sanity. You gotta have some big names go up against a group that's had 2 years of build up and people shit their pants when they come out and see. So, you know, agree or disagree, it is a prediction. So,
yeah. Well, so this would be my final prediction?
yes.
So, I'm gonna go a little bit milquetoast on this prediction, and maybe something a bit obvious. But I think the Bludgeon Brothers are due for a decent tag team title run. Because they've been pushing through everyone. You know, I think that they're gonna have and keep the titles for a while. Personally. What do you think?
I don't know. You know, because there's a lot of weird stuff that's been happening lately in terms of Wyatt anything. Like, Bray Wyatt literally put out a tweet that was addressed to, you know, Eric Rowan and Luke Harper saying, "Come home, ... And I don't know essentially what that means. I don't know if they're going to run into each other at the Rumble. I don't know. But, you know, it was either something Bray Wyatt just put out there when he was looking at JoJo's fat ass, man. Maybe it is something that could be a thing. But I don't want to agree or disagree because it's a prediction. We don't even know yet. But I somewhat disagree just because, you have Benjamin and Gable who seem to be poised for a title run. And them and the Usos could take this rivalry to several rubber matches, which could end up taking them into the spring. Which at that point, we have no idea who's going to be where. There is a chance the Bludgeon Brothers get taken as a package for, say, the Revival or something. And the Revival could end up on SmackDown because, we call ourselves pro wrestlers and not sports entertainers, you know, and that retarded shit. But, the fact of the matter is that's one that, if they're going to get a title run, it's going to be after WrestleMania, because I could see this stuff with Benjamin and Gable and the Usos running through to WrestleMania. I think that this 2 out of 3 falls match, let's say that Gable and Benjamin win. I guarantee you if they win, they're stretching that shit out to April. So, if they lose, then there is a shot that you're right.
Yeah. Well, you also have to realize that that's only just April, so that's still sort of the beginning of the year, or the first, third of the year. I honestly think that, because I'm not saying, right away. I'm just saying that they seem to be giving them a lot of wins, which, they're beasts. How are they not going to win? But, unless, and I think this would be a dumb idea, they break them up, that's why I think they could end up with a title shot. At least maybe by the end of the year. That's my thought on it, So, I know you sort of disagree with that, but again, April is still towards the beginning of the year. Anything past that, we really can't say, because there's always a chance someone's going to get let go, or someone's going to get injured, or, who knows what's going to happen. But yeah, so who knows? It's all up in the air, really.
Well, I have actually 2 asterisks I want to add to this list, because Lord knows 5 is never enough for me. So, and if you had 1 you wanted to add in, that's fine.
Oh, go ahead.
So the first one is that Dolph Ziggler, more than likely it will be this Tuesday after Royal Rumble. If it is at Royal Rumble, it would be very interesting. But there has been designs of a new U.S. title floating around since before Night of Champions. And I've seen these belts being quote-unquote for sale on eBay. No one said it was officially for anything. And I've seen this new design for the U.S. belt on a WWE Live event poster back when Baron Corbin had it. Now, my ideology is that when and or if Ziggler comes back, he will come back with the new design of the U.S. belt and say that, our wonderful Bobby Roode is a faker and that he never gave up the U.S. belt. He simply walked away, and that he isn't the true U.S. champion, and thus will build up to a nice Bobby Roode, versus Ziggler round 2 in much of a way that you had Cena and Punk doing the same thing with the WWE title back in the day. So that is one prediction. My second prediction, and this is about NXT, and this has been talked about since, I want to say, late fall, is that NXT will get a mid-card title in there. There's too much talent, and there's just far too many names that never quite reach that NXT title apex, because they truly save that for people that they believe are going to be like WWE / Universal Champions. And, I feel bad because guys like Velveteen Dream, Cassius Ohno, even maybe Lars Sullivan, which I see as NXT champion here in 2018 anyway, just give it time. But, there are a ton of great talents in NXT. I mean, I'm sure there'd be more if I just sat here and thought on it. But if I did that, this video would be 3 hours. But nonetheless, there's a lot of people. I mean, you could even have guys win that may not be all that great, depending on how long Sanity wants to stay. You could have Killian Dane win that. You could have an Aleister Black win that, even though I know he's good enough to win the NXT title. They may not want to give that to him. So it's really dependent on what they want. I mean, technically, all of us know that, and this isn't even a prediction, this is a guarantee, that Johnny Gargano is going to beat Andrade Cien Almas, and that the only reason Andrade Cien Almas was a champion at all is because of what happened to McIntyre at his match at the last TakeOver in November. So, that being said, I think though that guys like the guys that are so good at what they do, like Cassius Ono can hype up a crowd, Aleister Black can hype up a crowd, Velveteen Dream, he can hype up a crowd, and they're all three damn good wrestlers that are just not getting the recognition that they deserve.
And different personalities too. I mean, for people that are that good, it's really refreshing to see them be completely different from each other and not sort of the same thing that you see in like Raw or SmackDown, where where I don't want to say characters are bland, but it almost feels like when someone goes up to the main roster, they sort of like drain some of the character from them.
It's very watered down.
Yeah.
I mean, and a perfect example of that would be Finn Balor. Look at what happened to Balor. They made him Universal Champion, and then he got injured, and it felt like they dumped him like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge. Okay? I mean, am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, the guy got injured in the ring and ended up out of action for months. And as soon as he came back, they basically just put him down in the mid-card and said, you know what, you're fucked for right now. And if it weren't for the fact that Bray Wyatt ended up getting sick, I think that match between him as like the goofy looking pumpkin demon and Bray Wyatt as Sister Abigail, I think that would have ruined both of their careers, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, and I agree. Nobody wants to fight a guy in drag, and everyone said that the match that saved TLC was AJ Styles. So yeah, I personally believe that that would have been a mistake.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that Balor won clean too.
Yeah, Balor won clean against the guy that won clean versus John Cena. So take that for what you want. Anything you wanted to add, John? Any predictions?
Thinking of it, I can't really think of any right now.
Then let's leave it at that. So this has been John and Gary for your I Wrote This Shit edition. And this is Gary Maloney for Sactown Slam. And for Gary and John Maloney, I and we and he are signing off.